All right, in this next video, we're going to learn how to wrap our hands with long wraps. If you have long wraps, we don't sell them personally, but if you have long wraps and you want to learn how to put them on, watch this video and have a look how. The long wraps, if you buy them from the shops, they look like this in the packet. All right, they just look like it's usually a bit smaller than this. They're probably wrapped up a bit tighter. And then after a while, they just look like this. All right, so we want to make sure that as we put them on, the main priority is to protect our wrist and our knuckles, okay? That's what wraps are all about. We do have gloves on over the top, of course, so we want to make sure that it's nice and secure. We start off with a loop around our thumb. All right, so we're using that. Our thumb at all points is going to be our anchor. So we start off with 2 nice and firm around the wrist. We then do 2 nice and firm around the fingers. We want to make sure the fingers are spaced out, okay? We don't want them crunched up because that means the wrap is going to be way too tight. If we have our fingers completely wide, it's also going to make it too loose. So we're going to make sure that our fingers just have some gaps in between them, twice around the knuckles. Then we're going to come down towards our wrist, use our thumb as a base. Going to come up to the middle finger, or I should say last finger, between one of your middles and your last finger. Then we use should do it this way, thumb as an anchor again, so I stick my thumb out nice and wide, and I come in between my 2 middle fingers. And I use my thumb as an anchor again, so just coming around thumb position, in between the last 2 fingers. Now from here, I basically do figure 8s. So we're going to wrap around the wrist, then we wrap around the knuckles. Nice and firm. This time, going the opposite direction, around the wrist, and then around the knuckles. So we want to make sure that our hands can move. We want to make sure that we're wrapped up nice and firm around the wrist. You want to make sure as you're wrapping, a lot of people get really tied up in their wrap. You just kind of throw it over the top, all right? That's how we make sure that we do it. Or you can face your hand down towards the ground and it will make it a lot easier, okay? We don't need to kind of bunch it all together and hold it. So around the wrist and then the knuckles for the last one. So if we've only got, a little bit left, we're going to make sure we'll do our final one around the knuckles. We then always finish off down towards our wrist. So I like to go a little bit lower and then I finish off a little higher. So I've just wrapped lower than I would wrap it, so below my wrist, and then I'll come back up to my wrist, nice and tight. So I've got a little bit of extra bit here that's going to be holding on nice and firmly, and I make sure that the Velcro is attached just above. So in this position, we should be able to punch anything nice and firm. We should not be able to bend our wrist any more than that. So if I try, it's going to be very hard to get to that position. I have to kind of strain to get there. I want to make sure that as we punch, everything lines up and everything's nice and smooth. Again, you don't want to have your blood supply cut off. You do want to make sure that you can, maybe fit one finger around. As you go through, they will loosen off a little bit as you're punching. However, depending on how warm it is sometimes, due to the heat, your fingers will expand too. That's why you always want that tiny bit of room. And the wrap will also get a little bit looser as you're using it, okay, because there is an amount of stretch in there. If you have a wrap that has no stretch in there, not a good idea. Make sure you get one that has stretch in there so that when you punch, it's got that wiggle room to move for your knuckles. All right, that's how we use our long wraps.